this whole thing works two ways here. Not only is it the right reason and motive for doing something out of love, but when something is done for us out of love, then there needs to be an appropriate response from us as well. Okay, we just can't say, well, she should have done that anyway, or he should have done that anyway. We've got to go, wow, thank you for doing that. And I have a great fear today that we don't say thank you enough today. We really don't say thank you enough. We take a lot for granted, but we really have lost the art of saying thank you. Okay? I know for me, sometimes that's a problem. I forget to say thank you. Okay? And it's important that we do that. Skip down to question 4. When Caleb asked his father, how am I supposed to show love to someone who constantly rejects me? His father redirects his eyes to the cross. Obviously, he's implying that Caleb is rejecting Christ as well. Well, the point applies to Caleb, obviously, he's rejecting him, but how do we respond when maybe we've got a great marriage, everything is going great, and I hope it is, but maybe we've got a marriage where there's some struggles back and forth, and the person, we feel like we're constantly being rejected. We're not being accepted. We're not being appreciated. What do we do with that? How do you continue to keep going and not say, it's not worth it? How do you continue to keep going if in your marriage you're constantly, like Caleb, you're trying to do some things right, and finally he gets it for the right reason, and he's constantly rejected or he's constantly never appreciated? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? Pardon?
You put your Jesus-colored glasses on.
You put your Jesus-colored glasses on.
So, if say my children do something I totally don't appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
if I look at them and see Jesus standing in front of them, I can love him.
Okay.
I can do that and not, he doesn't need to thank me for anything.
Okay.
And so if I have my Jesus glasses on and I'm loving them the right way.
Okay. You can do it.
Yeah.
Even though there's no response.
Right.
Okay.
It's so much easier.
Okay. Somebody else, fill in for me.
Look to the author of humility, true humility, because a lot of things, with me, with the first 19 years of the wife that passed, there's so much of this thing that really speaks to me in this movie, and it's almost like I got a second chance to make it up for, so I carried a lot of guilt through this.
Okay.
But I think humility is something where you gotta swallow, and you gotta look to Christ for that, and for the strength to get through, and he'll work it out. He'll work it out, just like he did in the movie.
Okay. You have to swallow your pride. You have to swallow your pride and humility.
Have you ever heard the saying, I used to be conceited, but now I'm the best person I know?
No, I've never heard that statement. But it worked for me. Yeah, I used to be conceited, now I'm the best person I know. It is hard to be humble sometimes, isn't it? One of the things that we're going to talk about next week, and I'll just mention it, but we'll highlight it more next week when we talk about covenants, is one of the things when I do premarital counseling, I may have told you, that there's a question of premarital counseling that says marriage is a 50-50 proposition. And amazingly, most couples will check agree. And I go, no, it's not. What do you mean it's not? I do my 50, she doesn't spend her 50 or whatever. No, marriage is 100%, 100%. I give everything of me, 100%, regardless of how the other person responds. The other person gives 25%, doesn't make a difference, that's not my part. My part in the covenant.
That was.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well, that was interesting. They are But marriage is when I give all of myself. And when we entered marriage, and I would have to tell you that that's the way I approached marriage. And we had no premarital counseling whatsoever. We met with the pastor once, and that was how to put our service together, wedding service together. We had no premarital counseling whatsoever. And I wish I had had premarital counseling. Because even though our parents were great, they really didn't give us any input, or any of that about how do you enter this thing called marriage. And so I basically entered it saying, if she does her part, I'll do mine. And basically, marriage is not that way. It is, I do my part regardless of what she does. You know, I give 100%. If she gives 20, she gives 30, she gives 90, it doesn't make a difference. And vice versa. She gives 100% regardless of what I give. That's a hard concept, okay? Because we do kind of feel like this question, well, you know, I'm giving, I'm trying to show love to somebody, and they're not responding, so it's not worth it. I'll just quit doing what I'm supposed to do. How would you feel? How would you feel if Jesus said, you know what, you're just not worth it, I quit? Where would you be? You'd be in a heap of trouble. Yeah, I think we got it fixed. It did go off, and then we got it back on. Am I moving? Am I talking?
Yep,
okay.
good.
Yeah. If Jesus said, you know what, I'm just really tired of Christy. You correct her. She just, you know, she blows it time after time, and I'm done. You'd be in a heap of trouble. But God says, I'm giving 100%. I give all my life for you, regardless of what Christy gives back to me. Okay? And that's even as we live our Christian lives. I mean, most of us do not give God 100%, do we? No, not by a long shot. You know, we keep little parts of our life, okay? Maybe you've seen or read that little thing, My Heart, Christ's Home. It's a little booklet that you can read, and it just takes you into different parts of your house. It takes you into part of the kitchen, what you eat, what you feed into your life. It takes you into the library, you know, what do you read? It takes you into the den, what do you do for recreation? And it takes you into that little room where it's just yours. And what are you doing there? And Christ says, I want every room in your house. And we say, well, you can have this one and this one, this one, not this one. And not this one, by the way, either. So much of our life, we don't give God 100% of our life. We give Him a part of it. And He's given us 100% of His life. So when we think about, how can I keep giving? How can I keep giving when the other person's not giving back? The answer is either to see people through Jesus-colored glasses or to realize that it doesn't make a difference what the person gives back to you. It makes a difference about what you give in the whole process. So, how am I supposed to show love to someone who constantly rejects me? It's recognizing who you are in Christ. Read the little illustration with me on page 27. It's an interesting illustration. It was a scene straight out of a romantic movie. A young, beautiful Mexican-American dancer lifted herself from a hotel pool, her exotic features and fit body catching the eye of Michael Franzese, a powerful 32-year-old businessman sitting poolside. Years later, he described his reaction. In that moment, I felt a strange sensation in my chest that made me gulp for air. This woman had literally taken my breath away. On the surface, the romance didn't seem so unlikely, but what 19-year-old Camille Garcia didn't know was that Michael was in the family business. Michael had grown up as the son of Sonny Franzese, the notorious underboss of New York's violent and feared Colombo crime family. Intelligent and ambitious, Michael took a blood oath that bound him to the mob, and then began a meteoric rise in organized crime. He was quickly named a capo, a captain in the family, but not even that title captured his power and influence. Sometimes referred to as the prince of the mafia, Franzese at his most affluent generated an estimated $5 to $8 million per week from legal and illegal businesses. 14 law enforcement agencies poured money into a task force with the sole objective: bring down the sophisticated young mobster. But that one poolside encounter initiated a love that changed everything. And the love was not just the romantic one that grew between Michael and Camille. Michael's growing love and fascination with Camille also drew him to her strong faith in Jesus. In 1985, the two men and Michael made two vows, one to Camille and the other a courageous vow to quit the mob. Shortly afterward, he heard the message that God's love offered him forgiveness and redemption, and Michael made a decision to follow Christ. That relationship that might have seemed so impossible, the innocent Christian teenager and the powerful mobster, instead grew into a solid, God-centered marriage. Over time, the marriage withstood challenges that would have destroyed other couples. The years Michael spent in prison, family and friends counseling Camille to leave him, and even the threats against Michael's life for breaking his blood oath to the New York mob. In the face of danger and doubt, they loved and the marriage held firm. Today, Michael is an author and a Christian speaker who tells his inspiring story to churches, prison ministries, and youth ministries, as well as sports organizations like the NBA and others. He and his wife Camille have 4 children, and the couple is active in their church and other Christian ministries. What does that story say to you? What does that story say to you?